Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. Today, we have a very special guest. He is probably one of the funniest people I know. Watch out, Los Angeles, New York, all of you comedians, your job could be in trouble if he wasn't having so much fun being a retired professional NFL player. And, after that, by the way, because that wasn't a cool enough achievement, he went to help a Fortune 30 start, launch, and build out their sports fund infrastructure. And then after that, because he loves to collect achievements, he had to go and launch another sports fund, and it IPO'd. So it is on the New York Stock Exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the insanely high performer, Kyle Auffray.
Wow, thank you. And I always say I'm funny, but looks aren't everything, right? So it's yeah. You got to get in where you fit in here.
So,
what's up?
You've done everything. You are not slowing down. You're only speeding up, and you have 3 kids, and you have a stunning wife who has her own business. You have it all. You've done it all. What are you working on now?
Wow, right into it. I'm working on multiple projects across the board, across the world. We're doing a development down in the Caribbean, a big sports development, stadium, golf course, Sports Performance Institute, Wellness Longevity Center. We're doing a project in Italy. We're doing, I have 5 companies also that we have under contract across different verticals, whether it's ticketing, whether it's gaming, whether it's healthcare. We have a bunch of different companies we're working with that brought us in to help grow and scale their business, or working on exiting their business, or you name it. Everything we do is essentially sports adjacent in some capacity or another, but that's pretty much the high level of what I'm doing in my free time.
Do you want to talk about the ticketing business, or are you going to keep that close to the vest?
No, we can.
You did the most badass moves for them. You aggressively grew them so big, so fast. Do you want to just dive into that a little bit?
The company is called Planet A. You'll never hear of them because they're behind the scenes. They're everyone's box office in January and December. So December 2025, January 26, we signed global partnership and distribution deals with Ticketmaster and Access. So between the two, we're rolling out over the next 3 to 5 years across 11,000 venues. So we operate the entire back end. If anyone watching this or listening has ever been to Vegas, and you've experienced or used concierge services, or you've used any of the kiosks, or anything, when you go into your hotel room and you scan and it says, "Hi, welcome to wherever," that is all Planet A. So we're the entire back end. We're the box office. Think of it as a like Priceline.com or Booking.com, where you have your hotel, your flight, your rental car. It's the same model, but it's for events and venues. So you can book your tickets. You can book your restaurant after, you can book your experience. So as a single source, one-stop shop checkout, you can do it all on one platform, but it's always white labeled. So again, like Caesars Entertainment, their entire platform is Planet A. It's not Caesars, right? So you'll never hear of it. It's very behind the scenes, but we also own all the first party data, which is unheard of. So we have all the data. We're growing. They're raising a round right now. They're doing a Series A. It's unbelievable.
How much are they raising?
5 to 7, not much. It's really because of the rollout. So when they roll out these kiosks and venues and setups it takes obviously 90 days for pay cycles from these bigger groups, right? So it's to roll out 11,000, it takes some capital to basically cash flow for that amount of time. So that's the main reason to raise and obviously scale the support staff as they grow.
So okay, we're talking about behind the scenes on ticketing.
Yes.
Let's go a little bit further behind the scenes to venues and sports complexes.
Yes. So
you're working on a sports complex in Roaton.
So Roaton, we have probably at this point 3,000 acres total. It's multiple projects, so multiple resorts, cruise port, all this kind of stuff. But that's great. That's the group I'm working with. They're the developers, builders. They brought me in to help lead the sports projects, right? So a 12 to 15,000 seat national stadium, a Sports Performance Institute. We're doing an 18-hole championship golf course with 360 views of the ocean from the center of the island. You could see the ocean all around, which is pretty cool. We're doing a global. We want to do a tennis academy. So similar to like an IMG model. So we want a global academy there where you can have students year round, athletes. Focus would be tennis, golf, soccer/football, depending on where you're from, with the opportunity to add baseball or some other sports that are relevant in Central South America and the Caribbean. But we're getting a lot of interest in that. All tied into a big sports ecosystem. We have the #1 wellness longevity resort in the world that is currently working on finalizing some contracts for multiple developments on our end. So I'm actually heading down there tomorrow, believe it or not. But we have a lot of exciting projects under the works and in development and signed and going that we can't really talk about yet, but it's exciting. So that's cool. And then we're doing a similar type project in Italy right now across 2 properties in Florence and Tuscany. And we're doing a big stadium project with Cagliari, which is a Serie A team in Italy. They're doing a whole new stadium development, which is on Sardinia, which is one of the most beautiful islands in Europe. So there's a lot of really cool projects we got going on.
And then so we're going from tickets to sports in multiple nations. You advise the capacity as a management consultant, you advise family offices and private equity funds on their sports investments. And it's mainly based off of your relationships that you cultivated while working as a player for all of these sports teams.
Yeah, I played 4 years in the NFL. I bounced around Cardinals, Patriots, Browns, Raiders, but a lot of the time I spent in the league and even right after the league, I spent building a nice network. So a lot of the staff, a lot of former players that are now in the business are working with other funds. There's a lot of the upper management on these teams obviously move around to other teams. So once you build out a core network, and especially a sport like football, there's only 32 teams. So middle management eventually gets promoted to upper management somewhere else. So when you have those relationships, and you build a bunch of relationships with the Cardinals, and then they get a new coaching staff, and those 10 coaches that you had are now at 10 different teams. Well, now you have coaches on 10 different teams.
Yeah,
that's how sports works, right? And college coaches move up to the NFL and vice versa. So through that, I've built a really good network. Through my role with the sports fund, which was, it was Comcast Sports Tech. They're a Fortune 30 company. They launched a sports fund in 2020 during COVID. But even through that, our partners in that program were Premier League, NASCAR, WWE, NBC Sports, the Olympics, like all these executives in the sports world. Again, a lot of them move, they change roles, they go to different, we have people that we knew at Comcast that are now in Major League Baseball, that are now at Major League Soccer, that are in the NBA. So people move around in the world, and managing those relationships and building those and keeping those are important as we do more venture stuff and investing, and be able to bring some of these technologies and projects to leadership roles in different sports leagues and teams. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's really cool, and it allows you to really do some pretty exciting things.
And so when a private equity fund or family office or ultra high net worth group wants to buy a sports team, for example, they could come to you and you can help them figure out which one, the best one to try to put in a bid for?
100%. I mean, that's where one way they could do it with us or work with us. They could also there's big funds out there, the Arctoses of the world, where they could just go invest into a big fund. If they want direct access, they want direct ownership, they want to be on the cap table. That's what more our group does. I don't want to say it, steer away from buying a team. While buying a team is a nice trophy asset, it looks really cool, and you can tell people, I own XYZ. It's not, from an investment standpoint, it's not necessarily the best ROI from team ownership, because especially, like, let's look at an NFL team. If you're buying an NFL team right now, which you could buy up to 10%, usually through one of the approved, there's like 5 or 6 now approved funds or groups that you could buy a team through. It would be minority ownership, less than 10%. You have no controlling rights or stakes of the team, and you get no access to any of the other revenue streams. So all the money is in the broadcasting, the media rights, the food and beverage, the stadium, the tickets. You get none of that. You only get an ROI on the growth of the value of the team. And so
who gets the revenue stream of all those other incomes?
The majority owner, the whoever. I'm not necessarily sure, where that goes, it goes to the paying the salaries and all this stuff.
Got it. So you're essentially buying common stock.
You're buying common stock, right?
And the preferred stock is already spoken for. You're not getting that.
No, you'll get a minority stake. Again, no say, no this. Again, it depends on the structure, but I'm very certain NFL specifically, other leagues might be different. NFL specifically, you have no controlling rights or have no access to any of the other revenue streams other than the growth of the right. Some of it goes to the other owners, the majority owners, the players. I think that's why they kept it under 10 so that you can not have to share in all that. That's for the majority owners. Got
it. Okay.
Which again, there's other opportunities. Other leagues are different. There's also, I would call like that tier 2, which would be like MLS or a Serie A team. You see a lot of investments into like European soccer clubs because you get access to the economic rights, right? So yeah, the team might we hear all these great success stories about the team growth and some of those big investments over there. But they're also getting access. They're getting monthly or quarterly K1s on the revenue share from the media rights, from the food and beverage, the ticketing, parking, all jersey sales, merchandising. To me, that's a better investment when you have access to the actual ownership of all the entities inside of the team.
Okay, so we were speaking before we started recording about putting these solar canopies across the parking lots and parking garages of these stadiums.
Amazing.
That type of if that were a revenue share system, that would just go to the majority owners. That wouldn't go to the minority owners, that income.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how it's structured to what team, right? But yeah, it would go to the right. So like if you invested in the Dallas Cowboys, right, and you had a 5% stake in the Cowboys, right, you're getting that's a right. I would assume that's a common share deal, and you would get, if the team grew and they ever sold out or whatnot in 10, 12 years, you could redeem your investment or sell your position. Other than that, you're not getting all the media stuff, all the marketing, all the ticket sales. You're not getting any of that. You don't have, there's no cash flow inside of that. Maybe it goes to the fund. Because again, these investments to direct ownership have to go through an approved fund right now. So maybe the fund collects any of it, that additional. But from my understanding, that is only for the majority owner to control.
Okay, interesting.
But again, you go to like, here's where I do a big comparison. So you look at the WNBA versus the NWSL, which is the National Women's Soccer League. I tell people the WNBA is a terrible investment. And this is nothing against the WNBA, but their business model and their structure, they don't own anything. They're leasing space, right? They're leasing the NBA venue from the NBA owner. So they don't own the venue. They don't own anything, right? They're doing the rev share on, right? The league has never made money, right? And the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League, they also haven't made money as a league, but they're all building their own venues, their own stadium. And so the actual team ownership, the ownership group of that team has access to all the revenue streams. And then when you go into having, like, you have even if it's smaller, a 6,000 to 10,000 venue, you have year-round concerts. You have all the other things that come with that venue that you're making money off of, even when soccer's not in season. The WNBA doesn't get that. The second the WNBA season is over, their revenue is over. They don't own the stadiums. They're not making money off of, right? So the NBA owners that own the stadiums, right? The Dolans who own Madison Square Garden, that's great, right? WNBA comes in, plays a few games in the month, right? When the NBA is in the off season, it's great. They sell more tickets. They make more money off food and beverage and all this. And NBA team's done. They bring in the concerts. They bring in hockey. They bring in the owners of Madison Square Garden are making all the money, not necessarily the ownership of WNBA, other than the growth of the value of the teams, which I would say is a little inflated because they don't own anything, right? I rather own a club or a team that also owns the stadium and the venue and the real estate around it and all the economic rights to everything versus a team that's just leasing for $1. That's just me.
So this is a real estate audience. Let's just dive into the real estate for a little bit.
So I'm tickling their fancy right now too. They would agree. You gotta
So if you're a real estate investor, you want to get into sports, but like you said, to your point, you want to own the real estate of it. What are the types of leagues that you should be looking at if you want to stay in the US? You don't want to go overseas, you want to stay in the US.
I would say USL, United Soccer League. They're expanding right now. There's like, for instance, they're doing a team right now, Brooklyn FC. They're looking at 3 or 4 different real estate properties in Brooklyn and New York, right? You're going to have a whole mixed use space with the stadium. So you'll build a stadium, you'll have the mixed use space. So you'll have hospitality, you'll have food and beverage, you'll have, shops, retail all around it. You'll own any parking. If you own a parking garage in New York, you're doing pretty well, right?
Yeah.
So you own, part of the deal would be owning the rights to all of that real estate and development around it, and potentially, building. If you're a real estate developer builder, find a USL team that's doing a development, you'll own the stadium. And the great thing about stadiums and sports teams is you control your own traffic, right? So you can create your own traffic through having the games, the matches, the events, concerts, shows. You create your own traffic, which a lot of hotel and resorts don't necessarily have the ability to do. They have to rely on other entities to create the traffic for them. So the value of sports anchored real estate is you can create your own traffic, which for those of you who run and operate hotels, that's ideal, right? So you've got USL is a good one. Again, NWSL, National Women's Soccer League, that's up and coming. You got the Olympics coming in 2 years, and then you have the Women's World Cup coming in 2030. So getting the growth of women's soccer is going to be pretty big. There's a lot of these. I hate youth sports, what it's turning into in terms of like the private equity play, and I'm in private equity, but it's just becoming
so expensive. It's insane.
Expensive. It's supposed to be participation and get kids, right? I watched the whole thing on how like European soccer is so much better than the US because all those kids play soccer for free growing up. It's built into their communities and their cultures, and even the high level academies, right? You're talking, $100, $200 a month to play soccer in Europe, and here it's thousands of dollars. It's expensive.
Yeah. I was shocked. One of the mothers in our school, her son is playing soccer, and he's been playing since he was 4, and she was like, "Oh, you should have your daughter sign up." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. What is it?" It was like, I don't know, a few grand a month.
Yeah.
And he plays four games in different tournaments. He plays 4 games every Saturday.
But to play soccer, the biggest sport in the world, it costs you $4 grand a month to play, right? So you're eliminating 99% of the population to be able to succeed in soccer in the US, right?
Yeah, and he's like playing until like 9 p.m. And I was like, he's 5 years old. He's supposed to be sleeping 12 hours a night. He can't sleep 12 hours a night if he's playing till 9 p.m. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And my daughters, they play tennis twice a week, and my oldest is a good athlete, and she's only 7, and they're like, "Hey, move her to 4 days a week." I'm like, "No, she's good." On the other day, she plays tennis twice, and she plays soccer, and then we do golf, and then she has dance. Like, we're doing everything. We're playing a bunch of sports. That's a whole new model. I think there is a big opportunity to develop youth sports complexes just because of the volume play. Again, having events, tournaments, camps, right? There's a play there. I just don't like how expensive it's become. I do think there's a massive opportunity in college and NIL with the real estate development for all your real estate developers. All these colleges are raising NIL money. They're trying to build out new revenue streams for the university.
What does NIL stand for?
Name, image, and likeliness. So NIL
that's right.
is the new basically business model of college athletics, where you can pay players. And colleges and universities are looking for new revenue streams in order to be able to afford it, right? They have essentially their own salary cap. And a good way, University of Tennessee just did a huge project where now the athletic department started a fund to control and own and run and all the new real estate development on campus. So part of even the university stuff off campus, if they're going to build a resort or a hotel off campus or student housing, essentially the university now can legally pay the athletic department to develop and run those houses, right, and manage it. And so the athletic department is not qualified to develop and build real estate. So they have to find partners to do that. So if you're a real estate person looking for a really unique opportunity, find the biggest university near you and reach out to them and say, "Hey, we're in real estate. We'd love to help you develop and help build out your NIL through real estate," because the revenue of the real estate and the ownership can go back to the athletic department. So that's a really unique opportunity that you can look at. I mean, there's a few hundred, if not a few thousand, but there's at least a few hundred big time universities that at least play football, right? There's 259 universities that play D1 football, but you'll have other sports. So there's probably about 1,000 opportunities to find a big time college that needs to generate more revenue through real estate that you could partner up with locally to you, and they would love that.
Okay, so to you, that chessboard looks very obvious and you could pick out the winners. To someone who's in real estate, who's like, look, I'm a talented real estate developer, I have a great track record, I want to partner with a university. Is this something where they could reach out to you and you could help them figure out which universities to approach and help them
100%.
with this? Okay, excellent. And
Yeah,
then
because you can actually do, we have reports on the universities, right? Which ones are growing? They're growing their enrollment, their athletic department's on the rise, they're looking for funding. What are the best right? You obviously don't want to buy the top, right? You don't want to go to Texas right now because it's going to be the most expensive.
Yeah.
Right. There's tons of opportunities to find middle of the pack, big time schools and universities that have, some of these schools 30, 40, 50, 60,000 students. Then guess what they need? Housing. Right.
Yeah.
So being able to develop housing for the university as part of a athletic program plan for the NIL, that's we can do that all day long.
And for those of you listening, when you're thinking about developing commercial real estate on these near these universities, keep in mind that National Energy Holdings, who is sponsoring this episode, they cover the cost. They engineer, procure, construct, own, and operate all of the energy infrastructure for your projects. And then they connect your project to the energy infrastructure on your commercial real estate assets. So you're building your solar car canopies. They connect that to the main grid. And if there's an excess of energy that's not being used, they sell it back to the grid and you can do a revenue share on that. So instead of having an energy cost as a line item that increases by 5 to 15% year over year, you now have that as actually something that's an income for your property. It increases your net asset value, increases your net operating income, but you don't pay $1 towards that development unless you want revenue share. They have 80-20 revenue share. So you would put 20% in for the project cost. You would get 20% revenue share.
It's amazing. And I mean, what do all stadiums have is parking, right?
I know.
So the stadiums plus the parking is just such a no brainer to me. Solar panels in fields should be a crime, but solar panels on parking garages and over parking lots and around stadiums that are already existing is an absolute no brainer. So
Kyle, help me do that. If you get me the contact of all the stadiums, I will put the solar panel across them, except for Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Kentucky, because their price per kilowatt hour is 2 to 3 cents. So they don't need it. But other states, if you can get me the stadium owner's information, boom, I will put the solar panel canopies there.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be we would just go to whoever's the operator, the head of facilities or whatever. That's easy. Yeah,
let's do it. We have our plan. This is what we're doing later.
That's great. Well, let me check my availability and your free time and my free time, and in our free time we can go do this. There's tons of
realistically, it's both other people on the phone.
Yeah, but between all the pro sports teams, right, all the different leagues, between all the college and university stadiums, I mean, even some of these high school stadiums, right? You're down in Florida, but even like in Texas, right? Some of these high schools, these high school facilities are bigger than most college facilities, right? So there's such an opportunity to leverage that, and that's gets you right in that world easily.
Yeah, well, you can go to them and be like, "Yo, I'll get you solar panel canopies for free, but you have to hire me as your management consultant."
There you go.
Boom! I just found you a new revenue stream. You're welcome.
I'll hire you. Invoice me.
I just want another trophy. I just want a trophy that goes right there that says Kyle's bestie. That's all I want.
All right. Does it have to be like metal, or can it just be like, can I draw it?
Don't be cheap. Get me a metal trophy.
I'll do a hat. I'm a hat guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I will also take a hat that says Kyle's bestie on it, and I'll just wear it next time we're both speaking at the International Family Office Summit.
That's great.
Yeah. And I'll get you one that says Adi's bestie. There we go.
There you go. We do it where it's like, or like it's something like it's like there's two pieces and one's on my hat, one's on yours, and we have to be together in order for them to connect.
It could be a football with like a puzzle piece in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. And one half and the other. That's it.
Yeah. Bromance of the century.
I love it.
So let's see. You're also working on something in Roaton, and you said the energy grid is going to be open down there for us to move on pretty soon. That would be sexy for like wind turbines and solar, but like the wind turbines that look like artwork, not the gigantic ones that just fall over after 20 years.
So they have some wind turbines down there already on the west end, and they are there is nothing uglier that you could put on a beautiful Caribbean island than a massive white wind. I mean,
no,
it's so terrible. And, to me, coupled with like the environmental concerns, obviously an island is full of birds and I don't know. It just, it's a terrible sight in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of turbines anywhere. I think it just is what it is. People do it. I can't control it. If I had my way, it wouldn't happen. But especially on a Caribbean island, I think it's terrible. So yes, if you had more natural looking art, like built into the landscape, environmental things.
Does it look better?
Ish. Yeah, I mean, if you can put those into like on building top, right? Again,
that's what it goes on. It goes on.
They're not, the ones, I'm talking about the ones that are, 10 stories tall that look like a massive, just humongous.
Yeah, those things.
Yeah, that and bigger. Yeah, the ones they have all across Texas, like those are hideous. Like those don't belong. But yes, I see all these little ones on the top of like roofs and buildings in like cities across. Like put 1 million of those on rooftops. So what? Like that's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah.
That they don't affect anything. It's but again, to be placing those massive 10-story tall wind turbines on a beautiful tropical island is just like it's not the right fit. So
yeah, no, I think there's a way to do alternative energy that enhances the beauty of a building. Taking like to your point earlier, we were talking about how they're taking farmland and converting it into these massive solar farms rather than just going to someone who owns the industrial warehouse and saying, hey, we can put solar across the roof of your building and give you more. It'll give you more net operating income. Most importantly, it'll stabilize your operating expenses for your energy, and it'll increase the asset value of your building. It's just a no-brainer going that way rather than buying up farmland.
Yeah, put the solar panels on top of the barn, not in the field, right? Put them on top of these commercial buildings that are all, I mean, there's billions and billions of square footage of rooftop that for commercial buildings all over. Just use those. Go to those companies and put it on their roof and give them a tax incentive. Like, hey, we'll install these for free. That's like that's the no-brainer. Right, that you already have. You don't need to go clear out. We need more. We need farmland. Stop destroying the farmland. Right, we need farmland. Go just put them on a place that's already cleared and leveled and ready to go. And it's already cleared. The tree canopy is already open, and you got direct sun pretty much all day long that sits. And the building's going to attract more heat anyway. So you already have it, right. It's already paved around there. Just throw them on the rooftop.
All right. So for those of you listening, if you have a building, you can call me or you can call Kyle. If you want to invest in sports complexes at universities, definitely call Kyle. I'll put his link to his LinkedIn on the show notes, so you can go to the website to see that. Let's just back up a little bit. So we spoke about what you're working on now. Let's go back to how you got into football in the first place. How old were you when you started?
6.
You were 6 when you started playing football?
Yeah.
Were your shoulder pads the size of you?
They were, yeah. So back when I played, they didn't really have, when I started, they didn't have flag football back then. We started playing tackle football from the beginning. Started when I was 6 and played for essentially 21 years. I finished playing when I was 27. So, I did all the sports. I played football, I played soccer, I played baseball, ran track, basketball, you name it, lacrosse a little bit. And then just narrowed it down as I grew up, and ended up narrowing down between football and basketball. And I had more scholarships for basketball actually, but I felt football was going to be a more successful path for me. Just, I'm tall, I'm 6'6". In basketball, though, that's average height. And in football, I was a quarterback in high school. And so a 6'6" quarterback was a really
competitive advantage.
Yeah, it's a much bigger advantage. So I ran with that, and it worked out. I mean, I ended up playing as tight end in college and in the NFL, but it worked out. So it got me to where I wanted to be, which was to make the NFL, and did that. So going back, I mean, people ask all the time, "Oh, would you change anything?" I mean, yeah, I'd probably start lifting weights earlier and like take it more seriously. Like there's a million things you would change, and anyone would say that. But no, I mean, to where I am now and what I've gone through and what I've been, you know, you're a 1%er. When you make the NFL, you're a 1%er, right, in sports. And so that's pretty cool accomplishment, and glad I had the journey that I did. That's what I would
say. I don't really watch sports. I joke that I don't like watching sports. I like playing sports. But when we've walked in rooms together and I'm with you and I'm with one of our other friends who was in the NFL, everyone knows you and nobody knows him. So you must have done some pretty impressive things during your career.
No, I really didn't. Not my football career, my after football career. Yes. My business career, I've just built that network again over the last 10 years, 11 years now since I got done playing. I've just built a really good business network and built a reputation in that world, obviously leveraging my NFL career, but people don't really know me from being a football player. I was a practice squad special teams guy. I was in and off rosters, in and out of camps. That I wasn't a Pro Bowler. I didn't have some massive long NFL career. I never made it to a second contract. So it's definitely not from football. I think I do a good job of leveraging my time in the NFL, my limited time in the NFL, with what I do, and keeping that a part of validating my sports experience, right? If I'm going to be a sports guy and we're talking about sports, I've been through and played at the highest level of sports. That is a nice validating factor when you have that conversation with people. But it's more of just my success and building a network through business, doing work with funds, getting into this world is where people know me from. It's definitely not from playing football, unfortunately.
Okay, so football was more of a door opener for you than it was. Okay, I mean, in all fairness, that's the same for me with ballet. Like I was a professional ballerina. The biggest thing I ever did was open a Jonas Brothers concert once.
Yeah, correct.
Like, but if you compare me to like the women who are performing with the New York City Ballet, I'm nothing compared to people who have never opened for a concert for any big name artist. Oh, wow, I achieved that one thing. But all it did was open the doors for me to model in Europe. And modeling in Europe is what opened the doors for me to manage Apple sales on a military base. And then that opened the doors for me to go to one of the top business schools. So it really was just like a domino that opened a door. It wasn't like this huge achievement that like made my career.
Yeah, but again, when you walk in a room now that I'm with you, there no one's like, "Oh, it's Adi the ballerina."
Oh God, no.
They see you as a business mogul, all right? And so that's same thing. Like they people have seen what I've done with funds and companies and all this, and that's how I'm known now. And yeah, I look like I'm still a big guy. That's not going to change. So I do stand out because of how big I am. But
yeah,
people are, "Oh, did you play a sport?" Right? Yes, but that's like, yes, I used to play sports back in the day. It's obviously part of who I am and who I've been, but my identity is not tied to being a football player. I'd like it to be tied to being good in business and good in funds and a good husband and a good father. That's really what matters to me. So
yeah, let's dive into the husband part. You started in men's retreat.
I did.
What is it called again?
The Forge.
The Forge. And what does it do?
Forge. So we run a national event series called The Forge. The website is betheforge.com. And we basically give men a place to come in. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to say it, but we feel like a lot of men in today's world, both in sports and business and in everything, just generally, men are struggling under the surface. Externally, they all look like they're doing great. We're all making money and healthy and blah, blah, blah. And internally, behind the scenes, men have they wear a big mask and hide all of their problems, concerns. So our 5 pillars are faith, family, finance, fitness, and fatherhood. And we just, through my sports career, dealing with some of the biggest professional athletes, through business career, meeting some of the most successful businessmen in the world, they're all good at one or two things and they're struggling in the rest, right? So guys who make a ton of money are struggling with their marriage and struggling with their kids and don't have a great relationship with their kids, or struggling with their health. I've seen successful athletes, battle. They're successful on the field and they're struggling financially. And we hear the stories over and over of athletes made 50, 60, 70 million and they're broke, right? So there's a struggle there. You see the drugs, the alcohol, the addiction, all the things. Like we live in a society where male suicide is all-time high, single family homes all-time high, fatherless homes at all-time high, and obesity is at all-time high, drug and alcohol abuse at all-time high, and there's not really many places for men to go to talk about that. And so we fill the rooms with we have usually 5 speakers, 1 on each pillar, and then we provide a lot of essentially free resources. So if guys need help with their health, are they trying to lose weight, are you trying to get in shape, are you battling a disease or a diagnosis, you need support. When people, we know guys that have gotten diagnosed with cancer, and the last person they tell is their spouse, right? Or they're bankrupt or they're broke, and the last person they tell is their spouse because they're embarrassed, like they don't like. So where do they go? What do they do? How do they get resources? How do they get help? And there's really not much out there. And so a group of business executives I work with, some athletes, we've got Super Bowl winners, we got former athletes, we got big time executives, we have successful people, entrepreneurs, we have entertainers. Montel Jordan has been spoke at our last 2 events, right?
Oh yeah, I loved him. He's so nice.
Montel, this is how we do it, right? He's, super successful entertainer, musician, and on his second bout battling cancer, right? He's on his second round of treatments. He got finished at the end of last year. He had stage 2 cancer, and he tells his story, right? So like all the accolades in the world don't replace, right? All the music career in the world doesn't replace the health that he wants to have. And so, we have things like that a lot of guys can resonate with. So guys who have lost their business, lost their marriage, got diagnosed with disease, struggling in a relationship with their kids, or wanting to be a better father, struggling with their faith, not knowing what direction to go in life, like asking a lot of questions. That's what the room's for, is to help guys find their way. And I've seen it. I've seen the most successful guys in the world just struggle behind the scenes. And so that's why we started, is to hopefully save people and get men back on their feet and back to being the leader and the hunter and that they're supposed to be in their life, and the leader of their family and their community and their children. And that's why we started it, and that's what it's about.
I love I met Montel at several different family office and private equity events.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who he was. I thought he was like an artist. Like, he's such a humble guy. And it was like, I would just go sit down next to him, talk about whatever. Cause he's he reminds you of that older cousin that everyone's buddies with. Yeah. And then after I spoke at the event in Honduras, someone was like, "You know who that is, right?" And I was like, "I don't know. He's an artist or something, right?" And we're like, "Dude, that's Montel Jordan."
Or something. He is one of the nicest humans you'll ever meet. He is caring, and he's doing his documentary right now on his cancer journey. Obviously, when he got his first diagnosis, he started recording from day one, and he's sustained the movie. I'll give him a shout out. He's raised a little bit of capital to do their movie. Sustain the movie if you're looking for a good cause to donate or make a donation to. Montel prostate cancer is one of the silent killers of men, especially men of color. And he's doing a massive documentary on that. So check that out if
you can have him on the show. I'll text him later and
yeah. He would be great to have on, and he's doing his business. He's got his marriage masterpiece. So they have a marriage retreat that they do. And he's just a genuinely amazing human being. So
yeah, he's like that cool older brother that everyone hopes adopts them.
Yes. Although he looks like he's 25.
I know that was what shocked me.
He looks, when if you could look it up, it's Google. You can Google it. He's in his 50s and he looks like he's 25.
I thought he was my age. I did not think he was my father's age.
Well, I thought that too at first, and then like, wait a minute, I grew up listening to you, so you had to have been. He's got like a ton of grandkids. I'll put it that
I
way.
know.
And I'm like, how do you have grandkids at 35? At 35, 40? How do you have grandkids, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. But I think your ability to quickly spot what people need to hear and to motivate them when they're breaking, I think that's a very unique thing. Like you notice with the top performers, when they see another top performer struggling, they're very quick to pull them back to the top.
yep.
Like it's like it's a ballet rehearsal, or for you it's like a football practice where you're like, hey, get up, we have to keep running. And outside of the top 1% of performers, you'll notice that in like other bubbles, when someone's struggling, they're like, that person's struggling, I'm going to get so much further ahead than them, so much faster. Whereas when you get to the top 1%, like you can look through my phone and it's like when I'm speaking with people who are in the top 1% of their field, it's mostly pep talks. It's like, hey, I noticed you were saying this, and you need to remember that you've achieved like all of these things. So whatever's happening right now, that's not like permanent. That's temporary. Remember you've achieved this. Ignore the haters and focus on this. Because my husband, after his mom died, he like completely spiraled down, was in this dark headspace for like 2 years. And after like a half an hour, like an hour of chatting with you by the pool during the International Family Office Summit, he came back revived. And I was like, what did you guys talk about?
Well, but again, even guys like your husband and guys listening to this, like we've had success in life, and it comes at a cost. There's always a cost involved of everything. And how do you balance that? And guys, whatever they're achieving in sports or in business or whatever, they have this goal or vision of what they want to be in life at a certain point, right? I want to make $100 million, right? Great. Well, and someone asked me, I think it was 2-3 years ago, they're like, hey, we were in a room, small group, there's like maybe 15, 20 people, and they're like, who here wants to be a billionaire, or who wants to make $1 billion? And most of everyone raised their hand. I didn't raise my hand. I was like, no. And the guy asked me, he said, why didn't you raise your hand? I'm like, because I know how much work it would take to get there, and how much time I'd have to spend away from my wife and kids in order to become a billionaire. And for me, it's not worth it. I think there's ways people do it well with their kids involved in everything they do, certain businesses, certain industries, we've seen it. But if you look at most of the billionaires and very successful people in this world, they've probably been through a divorce. Their kids are all over. They don't have a great relationship with their kids, or their kids might come back to them at some point. Usually there's drugs and alcohol involved. The kids grew up in an entitled world, and it's just copy and paste, right? You see it, and it's just because they're in that environment where, especially for men, as the fathers aren't in the picture as much. Not necessarily that they're not a good father per se, but they're working they drop the kids off at school and they work all night long, and they don't see them till the next day, or they have business trips and they travel and they're on the road and they're not around. That really matters. That really impacts not only your marriage, if you're in one, or it impacts not only how your kids' relationship with you, but how they are with other people and how they're going to grow up. Yeah. Right. So I think everyone's got to balance out what the risk reward is. And I know so many guys that have made tens of millions of dollars, and in a second they would trade it all in to have a better relationship with their son or daughter, because they get to the point when their kids are 17, 18, and they're like, wow, I missed their entire upbringing because I was chasing making money, and now I have all the money and all the time, and all of that is gone.
Yeah.
And you can always, my attitude is I can always make more money. I can make more money when my kids go off to school and all that. I can go make more money then. Right now, for me, I balance, like everywhere I travel, I bring my family 75% of the time. I bring my kids and my family to conferences, to shows, to travel, you name it. I'm bringing this week. We're leaving tomorrow to go to Roaton. They're coming with me. It's a business trip. I'm meeting we have a bunch of investors coming down. We're doing a whole thing, but my family's coming. Right. And
I think people don't realize how intelligent small children are in the business setting.
Correct.
Like my daughter, she's now 9, and she was asking me like a few times a week, she'll ask me, she's like, I think I want to do this and then this. And she's asking me about how she should be doing things now in fourth grade so that she's on the right track to be doing what she wants when she's 30.
Yep.
And she'll sit with me at meetings. Like we were in a meeting with someone who wanted to do this specific financial vehicle, and then we were meeting with an international bank president, and she's sitting there in the meeting asking questions afterwards. And it doesn't have to be financial success or family. If you raise your children to be curious with what you're working on, which they naturally are, like 7, 8, 9 years old, then they'll come sit in the meetings quietly. I had a meeting last week with someone who runs an organization with a lot of prime ministers and past prime ministers around the world. He was shocked. Eliana came, I pulled her out of school. She came and sat for the 2-hour meeting, and she was asking questions, and he was blown away. He was like, you know, I teach college students who have a worse attention span than your 9-year-old daughter. And yeah, she's sitting there negotiating with him that she's going to work on these things with him. And I was like, when are you going to work on that? And I was like, look at my 9-year-old, like negotiating her own leadership positions in philanthropic projects. Like,
I love it. Yeah, my 7-year-old asked me the other day, she said, how old do I have to be where I can own my own business? But she asked me in the car. Like you could own your own business today. But I said, but what do you want to do? You have to put a business plan together and all this, right? But she hears me on the phone, my wife, we're talking, we both own our own businesses. I tell people I'm always working and I'm always playing, right? So I'll do calls from the car. My kids will be in the back and I'll be on work calls. It doesn't matter, right? And we travel and all this. And so they see that. And they see that you can also be very active, involved in your family and with your, like, they see me that, but then I also have my business as well, right? So, and it's funny, I said this to Anthony at the Global Family Office. I said, this is a family office event, but I don't see many families here. Can we fix that? Right. And a lot of people are there and yes, there's all the big deals and all the big business, but we're doing this. We're supposed to be doing this all for our family and generational wealth. Right. And you have to put your kids and there's some people that bring their kids to these events, and I love that. And they get them involved and they bring them and get them around these people and get them active in the family business. And I think there's nothing better that you could do to set your kids up for success than have them involved, especially from an early age, because they are curious. What is mommy doing? What is daddy doing? And we tell them. They might not understand right now, but we tell them, this is what we're doing. This is what this is the business and all this. And I think they're going to learn more from that than they're going to learn in a school all day long. So that's my attitude.
Yeah. I think it's also, you have to decide. Your children are going to go to school and learn something, and they're going to come home and ask you questions. And you have to decide if you're contributing to what they see the world becoming or not. And if you look at your children as future executives, the conversations you have with them when they're 3, 4, 5 years old are completely different from a conversation you'd have with them if you see them as like this checkbox where you're like, oh, I have to get them to all these activities.
Yep.
Like, what's the point of the activities? Well, it's networking. You're supposed to be teaching them networking and business strategy when they're young.
And love or hate, like a good example to me, love or hate him, Grant Cardone. His girls are involved in everything they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, they're on stages at his events. They're traveling. They do the homeschool, so they work on the road. He has their girls make sales calls and cold calling, and like the skills you learn doing that is so real in life. How to battle objections, how to deal with different people, personalities, work for a team, work for yourself. Like having, kudos to him. Obviously, he's got a lot going on right now, and people have their own opinions of him. But from a parenting standpoint, I think, having his kids involved in what they're doing and being involved how they are, I think that's phenomenal. And I love seeing, especially super successful people having their kids involved in everything they're doing, because I think that's just super important, especially for men in high leader. I know obviously this isn't like a women thing here, but for us with what we do with the Forge, reminding men that being a husband and a father is a priority, right? Yeah. Making millions of dollars to then go live by yourself in misery is not the goal. So trying to bring them back to like center of what is actually your purpose and what brings you value and joy in your life. At the end of the day, it's usually not money and material things.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And we have it reversed in our household where my husband's more active with the parenting.
And that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, and the confidence level of our children having someone who's strong at home that makes them feel safe, night and day different from when he was the one traveling all the time. They definitely need that presence. Cool. So let's see, we're at the top of the hour. Do you have any final remarks? Obviously,
If
we're
anyone
not
wants to come down to Roaton, feel free. We have we do investor tours whenever you want. Small groups, individuals. We have houses, condos, resorts, anything in sports. If you're looking to invest internationally, incredible opportunity down there. We own all the land. It's titled, permitted, shovel ready. It's probably about a $1.7 billion total project, and that would be cool. And if you want anything in the sports space, if you want access to international sports teams, leagues, sports properties, or sports adjacent companies, whether it's, you know, ticketing, merchandising, you name it, we've got a lot of really big things in the hopper and some really good access to what I would call is going to be the future of sports, right? So we look at it from a lens of where is sports going to be in the next 10, 15 years. And that's where you want to invest in now. And we have a lot of those opportunities ready to go for people if there's interest. So.
And for that ticketing company that you're a part of that's raising right now, we can include the link for their CEO in the show notes.
Yeah, Keon. Yeah, he's amazing. Last year they did 20. Last year they accidentally did 21 million in revenue last year. On track for 45, 50 million this year, and it's a 3-man team.
Oh my gosh.
It's 3-man. He's killing himself. They're raising capital to grow the team. And it's really amazing what they're doing. But that's one of a handful that we have that are incredible opportunities. So yeah.
Awesome. Amazing. Okay. Well, very cool. Thank you for coming on the show. I'll put everything we discussed, the links, into the show notes, so you guys can go to 9x90.co/Kyle Auffray. It'll be his first and last name, so you can find him easily. Thanks, Kyle, for coming on the show. I'll see you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.